This is the AHRMM Updates podcast featuring Mike Schiller and hosted by Justin Poulin. Tune in every month as we highlight trends, strategies, and solutions from the field to advance the healthcare supply chain. And now, Mike and Justin.
Welcome to the March AHRMM Update with Mike Schiller. I'm your host, Justin Poulin. Every month we talk about trends, strategies, and solutions from the field to help you advance the healthcare supply chain. And Mike and I today, we've got three for you, but the biggest one, Mike, I'm just going to go ahead and steal the thunder and make the announcement. It's final. It's official. You've been formally announced. No longer interim. You are the executive director of AHRMM. So I just want to congratulate you here. And I know you've been doing the work. You've been laying out the plan. You definitely weren't waiting for any kind of an announcement. No matter what the outcome was, you're going to have things moving forward as you reimagine AHRMM. So again, congratulations. I'm really excited for you. And, as you know, we've done a lot already together. So I was in your camp.
Thanks, Justin. I really appreciate that and the kind words. And yeah, I'm excited to be in this role. I'm excited that the interim title is behind me now and can jump in with both feet. And to your point, right? We've done a lot of things already. We've got a whole lot more coming down the pipe here, but it's great to be able to fully engage with this Reimagining AHRMM initiative, to work with leaders such as yourself and others across the healthcare field. I'm really energized by the opportunities that this is going to provide for AHRMM and ultimately, right, supply chain professionals across the field. And along those lines, right, I mean, we've already been engaged in some activities. We talked about the spring summit last time we were together, and wanted to just touch base on a series that our education team is developing, Supply Chain Fundamentals. So I mentioned previously our education team is comprised of instructional designers, and they're just going at it here with the development of these 30-minute e-learning courses that provide a half a CE at no cost to AHRMM members. So the two that we've developed and launched already are the CMRP, right? It's just kind of a CMRP 101, if you will, that talks about, the value of CRP to you as a supply chain professional, the value to your organization for those supply chain leaders who have the CMRP designation. And then the second one is the what and why of UDI. And both of these have really experienced some phenomenal uptake or downloads, right? Folks taking these courses. So again, half a CE, no cost for AHRMM members. And we've got a couple of more 30-minute e-learning courses in the hopper that the education team is working on.
Yeah, I think that's amazing to get two of those developed already in such a short period of time as part of your strategy moving forward. Definitely want to commend you on that. I also like the 30-minute part. I mean, just thinking about how people consume content today, the amount of time available for a supply chain professional in their calendar is hard to come by. And, the traditional methodology was always like 1 hour long lunch and learns. And I feel like sometimes people have a hard time with that. So making it on demand, making it free, because obviously budgets are tight too, making it free to AHRMM members, and then also keeping it, to 30 minutes. I think, just a really good shift in strategy, because having that content come out in chunks like that with specific topics, I'm not surprised that you've already seen a high level of utilization of those resources.
Yeah, it's all about getting the content out, to your point, right? Getting it out, first of all, in the modalities where our members live, right, and engage and interact, and then getting it out into that bite-sized learning element or micro-learning, which is really the trend we're seeing out there, right? This big move to micro-learning. So, AHRMM wants to be at the forefront of that as we continue to be the leader in content development and helping prepare our supply chain leaders as they develop and build sustainable and intelligent supply chains. So again, education's front and center in our reimagined AHRMM strategy.
All right. Well, and I can also kind of let people know that as it relates to the CMRP, we've also got a project in the works to do a CMRP prep Podcast. So that is something that is hopefully coming in the works here in the collaboration with Power Supply, and just another new, unique way to bring, learning in various new and different ways out there. And so I'm excited to get that one going and into production. Although I think your education team is moving a lot faster. So kudos to them. And let's go to On the Fringe. You've got something kind of interesting. It looks like some adverse events that maybe people need to be aware of out there as well.
Yeah, we're getting reports through the Supply Chain Resource Council that I convene of hospitals that are filing adverse events on a BD Insight AutoGuard straight needle. It's a 20 gauge needle. It seems to be some of the different lengths, but it seems to be centered around the 20 gauge needle for sure. And the needle is not retracting as expected. So we've received a number of affirmations from our SCRC council members regarding the fact that they have experienced issues where the needle's not retracting. They have submitted adverse events, and they are following up with BD. So BD is aware of this, and they are working with BD and working with BD's quality department on this. But just want to make folks aware that this is something that we're starting to hear, and wanted to share that with all of you so that you can keep an eye out for these Insight AutoGuard straight 20 gauge needles.
All right. That's great, Mike. And, everybody can be, on the lookout for that. And speaking of being on the lookout and also talking about reimagining AHRMM, I know we talked about this last month in February, but since the Spring Summit is next month, this is really our last opportunity to talk about this before it's actually held. So I thought maybe you could just re-promote this and make sure that maybe if somebody didn't listen to the February update, that they don't miss it here listening to the March update.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the early bird special going on right now for the Spring Summit. This is our very first foray. It's mirrored a little bit after our UDI Summit or a UDI Forum, where it's a 3-day event, virtual event, where we're going to have a session in the morning and a session in the afternoon on Tuesday, April 9th through Thursday, April 11th. And we're going to focus on really the three of the major challenges that our supply chain leaders are faced with every day, right? Workforce, financial management, think of the current inflationary environment, the pressures on hospitals, and then AI. Who isn't talking about AI? And so what we want to do is begin to have that conversation. What potential does AI have in our healthcare supply chains within the hospital or across that supply chain continuum? So looking forward to a lot of great content that's going to be shared over the course of those 3 days.
Well, speaking of AI, I had a great conversation with Cody Fisher for our AHRMM SME podcast series. So be on the lookout for that episode. We definitely dive into, AI. And it's funny, Mike, you say AI, like who isn't talking about it? But I think there are some people that are maybe a little, not so sure about it. And, they don't really know, how would I leverage that? How is that going to change things? And so what's great on that interview is we talk about nice and easy ways that AI can help you versus, hey, once you're comfortable with AI, what's the real potential for it? And I'm sure there's going to be more of that type of conversation at the Spring Summit.
Yeah. And, I think part of the confusion, Justin, is the fact that we really don't have a standard definition for AI, right? I mean, you've got chatbots, you've got machine learning, you've got large language models, you've got all of these different facets that fall up or roll up under this umbrella that we're calling AI. And so to your point, it could be rather overwhelming. And some of these initiatives could be, incredibly roll up the sleeves and massive undertakings, while others could be a fairly simple application of AI where you're basically looking at contract language, right? And standardizing that language across all of your contracts. So there's this incredible spectrum that is AI. And I think part of the challenge is to understand what we mean and then where's the right spot for me to start.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. All right, Mike, great job again this month, keeping everybody updated. Congratulations once again on your new official role as the executive director. I know you've really put a lot of thought into the strategy regardless of how this turned out, you've put a lot of things in motion already. I'm excited to see the spring summit. I'm excited to see the supply chain fundamentals and what ones are in development. What's coming next? So, content is king, as they say, or content is queen, and providing those at no charge. Once again, I got to emphasize that for the people that are listening, because you are likely an AHRMM member yourself. These are no charge for you, just value as being an AHRMM member. So I want to encourage everyone to take advantage of that. The first two, the CMRP and the UDI, and more coming. So that is going to do it for this month's AHRMM Updates podcast with Mike Schiller. Mike, thanks a lot for joining me once again.
Thank you, Justin. Always a pleasure. Have a good one, bud.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be back, Mike and I, next month for the April edition of the AHRMM Updates podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the AHRMM Updates podcast. For additional resources, visit our website at ahrmm.org. That's AHRMM.org. Tune in next month for another edition of the AHRMM Updates podcast.